Fuck. Okay. So my ancestral culture is Nordic. Both sides of my family originates from Scandinavia in most regard, but I also have some Irish, English, and Central European in me. Can you tell I'm white? And I'm also American, so that comes with its whole thing when it comes to culture. And no, I'm not talking about Native American culture. When I can, I avoid American rituals and traditions as a sign of respect and decency as a human being. I am very aware of the discrepancies and hardships that they faced and continue to face by European descended people. I want to allow them to keep their culture as much as possible and maintain my distance as to not infringe on their beliefs or appropriate anything. I have great respect for them and love hearing about their traditions, but I avoid practicing them myself when it's clearly theirs. It breaks my heart when I hear about the many hardships and downright tragic things that Native Americans have been subjected to, and I just don't want to be part of that oppression cycle. Now, when it comes to my own practice, I draw mostly from the cultures I descend from, as well as the Hellenic and Greek cultures. The Hellenic stuff I gravitate towards and like because my gods are from that culture, and A, like being reminded of them when I see and practice things from that culture, and two, I just think that most of it is really cool. I have statues of the gods that I bought on Etsy, imported from Greece, and tend to use and fawn over things that have the Greek key patterning. My next tattoo actually is going to be just a band of that pattern around my bicep as a form of honor to the gods. A majority of the books on mythology that I have are Greek and Roman myths, and a healthy amount of the fiction that I write has the gods in them in some way. On the Nordic side of things, I don't have a lot of it in my practice. I honor the gods of my ancestors and my ancestors themselves with a small altar, but it doesn't go much further than that. Sure, it would be easier for me to decorate my life with stuff from the Norse and Irish traditions, as most paganism tends to use iconography and symbols from those cultures. But I just don't have a huge draw towards that stuff. However, I do enjoy learning about the Norse culture and heathenism, and when I dive into that research, it tends to inspire me into researching my own gods and Hellenic practices. When it comes to Irish stuff, I like the symbols and the overlap it can have with the Norse stuff, but the only thing that I intentionally use from Irish and Celtic culture is the labyrinth that I have. It's like a wooden disc with the CNC'd labyrinth pattern on it. Traditionally, labyrinths are medium to large areas, like an entire yard, dedicated to be walked through. They're used for meditation, connecting to the spirit world, and just as a nice outdoor activity. There's actually a labyrinth towards my house that I've gone to a couple times, but as it is the deathly cold and snows the majority of the year here, I got the one that I have on my desk to use whenever I want. Speaking of my desk, I have it themed and have it intended to be a place of my pagan expression as well as a place to practice the small amount of witchcraft I do. Over the past year or so, I've gotten into learning about witchcraft and I dabbled in a few things here and there. I consider witchcraft and magic to be its own culture. Yes, it draws from a lot of the other ones, but there's quite a bit that is in general I consider its own culture. So fuck it. I still try to stay in my own lane of only utilizing the Greek and Nordic and Irish stuff, though, which for me means a shit ton of candles, incense, not white sage, obviously, and wood and leather and some crystals. I'm not a huge fan of crystals. They just don't speak to me, but there are a couple that I like to have. My fiance and I bonded over like astrology and tarot stuff. They've even nudged me into getting and using my own tarot deck, so that's fun. Finally, the last culture I deal with is what I guess I would consider to be my own personal culture canon. That means I take the stuff from like media that I'm connected to, work with the items and resources I have available, and just make my practice my own. Yeah, I have a traditional tarot deck and an oracle deck, but I also have a set of Greek mythology blocks that I use as divination dice when my fiance and I are doing something together. I have a set of Norse runes I use as well, but I anoint them with some Viking themed beard oil my parents got me that I just don't use. The first spell I did was a cleansing ceremony I did for our apartment, but I researched about how they're usually done and then did my own twist on it. I have a Nightmare Before Christmas tarot deck. The first smaller spell I did is one that I made up myself, and it involves the symbolism of Dementors and Patronuses from fucking Harry Potter. And the animal spirit that I'm working with and commune with on occasion isn't native in my country because it's a fucking elephant. Elephants are my favorite animal and have been pretty much omnipresent from day to day, from day one in my life. So I reached out to see if it was an elephant spirit I was being drawn to, and yep, it was. So my own culture is really specific to me and my experiences. Sure, it has a lot of older cultures and media, but it's kind of just tailored to my interests and beliefs. I don't like putting my practice in a box anymore. I used to when I was younger and just starting out, because I thought that's what you had to do. Coming from a Christian background, it's kind of a box that you put yourself in. But now, as long as I'm aware of what the culture it is from, and I try to do my best to practice respectfully and honestly, I'm open to pretty much everything that comes my way for the most part. But yeah, so thanks for listening.